Hey, I'm Ben Silverio.
And I'm Ansel Birch.
And it's time to party.
It's time for our review. Explode, explode, explosion.
The Atom Project.
Travel through time with Ryan Reynolds and a kid that might become famous later for being like Ryan Reynolds.
Party people, welcome back to a very special edition of Time to Party, where we're talking about a very new movie.
That's right. If you're listening on release day, yes. It's today. It just happened.
Right now, as we speak, it's happening.
You should go watch it if you haven't.
Yeah, but if it's like a month later, you should still go and watch it.
Yeah. If it's like April, this is less immediate, but still,
sure,
check that shit out.
If for some reason 2 years from now you find this podcast,
if you're listening back through the back catalog of Time to Party, first off, thank you.
Yes.
Secondly, continuity isn't that important for this show.
No.
We don't have any.
We don't. Even episode to episode, really.
Hey, Ben, did you like the movie?
I did. I did like the movie.
I don't know if that's a good way to start a review, but like, I don't think there's any reason to get all the way to the end of this before we admit that this movie was fun.
It's true.
I really enjoyed this movie.
I liked it a lot. In case you don't know what movie we're talking about, I mean, I said it. Were you listening, bro?
We did.
God.
And hypothetically, you've watched it. But just in case you didn't, our good friends at IMDb are here to help. A time-traveling pilot teams up with his younger self and his late father to come to terms with the past while saving the future. That's the Atom Project. Which is accurate. I mean, IMDb is not here for nuance. No.
All of that happens.
Those are things that happen.
That is...
in that order.
In that order.
Which is exceptional for IMDb, honestly.
Yeah. Good on you, IMDb.
They don't always nail it quite that well.
This movie, The Atom Project,
yes,
is yet another collaboration between Ryan Reynolds and director Shawn Levy. You may know Shawn Levy. He directed a number of episodes of Stranger Things.
Did he?
Yep.
Oh.
He also directed Real Steel with Hugh Jackman.
Oh my god, that movie.
The Night at the Museum movies.
Okay.
The 2003 Cheaper by the Dozen. Big Fat Liar, which is a very underrated movie. He directed 47 episodes plus the movie of The Famous Jet Jackson on the Disney Channel.
I've never heard of this.
Really? I liked The Famous Jet Jackson. Also, the star, Lee Thompson-Young, was a client at the management company that I worked at in Hollywood. He was very nice.
I don't think I knew that you worked with a management company.
It did. I was an assistant.
So you're my hookup.
Oh, I'm barely a hookup now. I've been out of Hollywood for so long. It's almost like I'm a senior citizen there now. Well, if I was an actor.
Oh, yeah. If you were an actor, you'd be dead.
But yeah, Shawn Levy and Ryan Reynolds kind of make magic together at this point. It feels like they really understand each other's processes, so when they're looking for new projects to do together, like, they really nail it, or at least they have so far.
They also seem to have a really good grasp, both of them, of working in their own respects, obviously, with CG.
Yes.
Both this and Free Guy being so heavily dependent on CG environments and props and all of that business. Both movies really knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. On
use of those CG elements and seamlessly blending it in with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
With one notable exception.
I was just about to get to that because, I mean, since we're already talking about the CGI and the production design and everything, the production design and the costumes looked great. Was a big fan, you know.
Very cool.
The guards.
Oh, the guards were very cool. I like that they taught that Ryan Reynolds' character, Elder Adam, calls out the design on the suit later on in the movie.
What? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, the mask, it muffled. Which was that a Deadpool callback? I feel like that might have been a Deadpool callback.
Still funny.
Still funny.
But yeah, the CGI environments look great. especially that the actor. I was going to call it the arc reactor, and that's not what it is.
The legally distinct from an arc reactor environment that they were in.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to get to this, after this conversation, but there are a ton of like callbacks to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And they're executed
legally distinct from a lightsaber prop. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and also the hoverboards. Legally
distinct from Back to the Future.
Yes, but there was one thing that really stood out as, I don't want to say sloppy. It's just kind of behind the times. Catherine Keener, who plays the villain, Maya Sorian, there is a part where she meets her past self. And they use de-aging technology to make Catherine Keener look like her younger self. But rather than Nick Fury in Captain Marvel, you have Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Which, at the time...
Still very good.
Was still very good. But now it feels like you're watching The Scorpion King again.
It's weird how much, like, I mean, objectively, it is miles better than Scorpion King, but it did feel like a bad CG rubber mask, just because we've gone that much farther in deepfake technology.
I mean, Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett, like, spot on.
As compared with Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian.
That's true.
If you look at the difference between when they brought on...
Post here, his name is Shamuk.
...to fix... his face.
Right.
The marked difference between those two Luke Skywalkers. We are living with that chasm right now, and that is absolutely what we saw.
And it's like, we can't really fault Sean Levy's production team.
Who's got that money?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Netflix throws a lot of money around, but like...
And apparently it's just that one guy.
Yeah, that's... it's all him.
I don't know what his special sauce is, but that one dude.
But yeah, that's really the only technological standout? Standout's the wrong word.
Hang up?
It's the only hang up that I really have.
Everything else was like really flawless.
Yeah, it's not like it was Once Upon a Time on ABC where the special effects and the CGI looked very not of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you were a few steps above that CGI show reboot, but the Adam Project avoids all that.
Yeah.
It's definitely light years beyond that. It's just a little bit below where Disney is right now.
Yeah. I will also say that just because you brought up Grand Moff Tarkin and the fact that it did feel like Grand Moff Tarkin level of de-aging or CG recreation, the fact that they started us off with a reflection of the character in a window was just chef's kiss. If you're gonna pull that kind of shenanigans, that is the way to do it.
True.
See, we're doing it just like they did for Grand Moff Tarkin.
They love Star Wars.
We're gonna Tarkin her. It'll be fine.
John Favreau, friend of the show, please
give us a call, please.
Please give us a call and then call Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy. Oh my god! Because like y'all need to work together, bro.
And we'll help. We'll help. I don't know what. I'll get coffee.
I'll tell you where to get good food in Culver City.
Ooh.
Or Burbank.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Sean Levy doing things like recreating Beggar's Canyon and the speed bike chase on Endor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does these, like, such iconic Star Wars things that, we clearly point out as Star Wars. Yeah. Like, any fan of the franchise would be like, yo, that's what that was, and that was tight.
Mm-hmm. That was a Star Wars shot, for sure.
Yes. I mean, the
overhead shot when they went through the canyon, and the one went down the one road, and the one down the other road. Yeah, that was like Star Wars as
vintage Star Wars.
And then they pulled up short, pulled back, slid into the hidey spot. That's Star Wars as fuck as well.
Absolutely. Clearly, Sean Levy needs to do one of these movies. Or TV shows. Or direct an episode of something. Yeah. And put Ryan Reynolds in it. Just do it.
Do it.
I was gonna do an impression of Gollum, and I'm like, no, that's not.
That's the wrong thing.
Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan.
Oh no! Oh, gross! Oh, I hate it. So while we're on this digression, give us a pitch. What Star Wars project would you put Sean Levy in, or what in charge of, rather?
Dr. Aphra.
Oh, good.
I feel like it's something new enough that he can add his own spin to, but the characters are rich enough that, you know, he could satisfy that like deep cut Star Wars fan, you know?
That's very cool.
Plus, Dr. Aphra needs her own movie or TV show.
Much.
We need to see those droids in live action. We already got Black Chrysanthemum.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, why not get the whole crew?
Everything's on the table at this point.
It's true. I mean, I don't know who Ryan Reynolds would play in that story, but like, there's
that's
almost
cool.
certainly a spot for him there.
Yeah, you can always fit a sassy human in.
Right. He's the bartender. He's Sam Malone.
Give him a big rubber suit. No one will ever know.
Isn't that what they did with Simon Pegg?
Yeah, that is exactly what they did with Simon Pegg. He was what's his face? The junk trader.
Right, the guy who was giving
Jakku.
Rey food.
Yeah.
The bread that came out of
the bread packets.
Yes.
The foamy bread packets. You wanted to talk about the mag cells.
Yeah, you know, while we're talking about production design and stuff, the not lightsaber that Ryan Reynolds' character Adam Reed uses is kind of a mix of Darth Maul's double-sided lightsaber and Gambit's bow staff.
Yes.
Like, essentially, if Gambit was a Jedi, this is the weapon that he'd be using. And, like, both older and younger Adam use it in that manner, which is pretty cool. I wonder if Ryan Reynolds called like Taylor Kitsch and was like, "Hey, I can do it better than you, bro.
I'm coming for your turf.
Look what I can do. Suck it, Gambit." I'd like to talk about the cast of the Adam Project.
Oh, I love that. Great.
We've already talked about how great Ryan Reynolds is. I mean, we dedicated an entire rule to him and his dreamy eyes.
So dreamy.
But, like, Ryan Reynolds tends to pick these parts where Ryan Reynolds gets to play Ryan Reynolds. But who's going to complain about that? Because he does it so well.
What I think is great about this movie is that we got... Not only did we get Ryan Reynolds getting to play Ryan Reynolds, we got a kid getting to play Ryan Reynolds, and then we got two people getting to play how to justify how Ryan Reynolds happens.
Yeah, so you have Ryan Reynolds as Big Adam, and then you have Walker Scobell as Little Adam.
Who, I will say, I normally absolutely hate children in movies. But this I was okay with. This was a surprisingly good performance.
He reminds me of the kid in Iron Man 3, who, you know, was clearly hanging with, you know, performers that were above his pay grade, right? But learning from them in like big ways.
When you're 8 and you get to go to acting camp with Robert Downey Jr.
But yeah, and then you mentioned the parents, where we have a 13 going on 30 reunion going on here.
When you called that out, it blew my mind.
In my mind, the Adam Project is the sequel to 13 going on 30.
Change our minds.
Where Jennifer Garner and Mark Ruffalo actually end up together at the end of 13 going on 30. And then Ruffalo decides that he wants to pursue a degree in science and invents time travel.
You know, like you do.
But yeah, Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner, the combination of them being Hulk plus Elektra equals Deadpool, works really well. It's a winning combination. An award-winning formula, if you will.
We were super, so you could be super.
Speaking of super, Zoe Saldaña, who was probably on set for like a week or less.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have Zoe
impact.
badass as shit.
So good.
Oh, she gets a great needle drop entrance, guns blazing, and then she's gone. Essentially.
It's a needle drop exit with guns blazing.
Yeah, it was almost like James Gunn said, "Hey Zoe, you get like 2 weeks while we switch from the Guardians holiday special to the movie
to Guardians 3."
Yeah, and she was just like, "Okay,
I can make that work.
Ryan,
so you still got that thing?"
Did that for a few days, got to be a badass, and then back to the MCU.
Plausible.
Oh,
shockingly plausible.
Yes.
Actually.
See? Producers, if you're going to bring in Zoe Saldana for anything, make sure she kicks ass.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, all of it. Let her kick all the ass.
Zoe Saldana is such a fucking treasure.
Absolutely, 100%. Another treasure.
Saldaña, perhaps.
Right, because there was an Enya in the credits.
Which I hadn't noticed previously.
Neither
I googled it, and it's in there.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
It is not on IMDb.
It's not in the IMDb?
She's listed as Zoe Saldana without the Enya.
Interesting.
Weird. Also interesting was Catherine Keener playing a villain.
Yeah, that was fun.
I mean, we have gotten her as a villain in Get Out, and that was great.
Yeah.
And she was the villain in 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Villain is a strong word, but yeah.
She tried to make Steve Carell sell his toys. What would you call that?
It is important to understand that I am surrounded by a lot of plastic figurines right now.
I can't even say action figures because most of them are Funko
None of
Pops.
them are not, yeah. Most of them are vinyl
That's
figurines.
An action figure.
Yep, a couple of them are. Don't get me wrong, they're very cool. I want that
just saying,
one. I wish I had that one.
He's pointing to Captain Carter.
Hell yeah, I'm pointing to Captain Carter. Hell yeah.
Be sure to follow Ansel's new podcast where
Captain Carter all the time.
As Winston Churchill.
We did joke about that earlier.
It's a podcast where Winston Churchill just fangirls over Captain Carter.
Oh my god. Winston Churchill would have such a boner for Captain Carter. You don't even know.
Catherine Keener really plays a believable villain. Like, she's very subtle in a lot of her villainous ways because, like, she has that, like, quiet kind of intimidation.
I'm actually going to call you on that one.
Yeah?
A little bit. Call you is the wrong word. I'm going to question you a little bit on that one. I feel like Catherine Keener's character was the weak point of the film because we don't see a clear justification for her actions.
I thought it was just greed.
Well, that's the thing, is like, if she's so greedy that she's like gone off the deep end, then part of me wants to see that in younger her.
Uh-huh.
And younger her very clearly is like, older me is crazy.
Yes.
I've done all these, like, she is actively manipulating her younger self all the way up to the very end.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I wonder how younger self and older self are connected.
I mean, there are a ton of creative people, even some that we know probably, that start out really starry-eyed and hopeful, but then let the world, like, beat them down.
Absolutely. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I want to have seen I wanted to have seen the seeds of it in younger her.
Sure.
And we never got that opportunity.
That's true. We don't really get a ton of backstory on Maya Sorian, but we get just enough.
We have to take it on faith that, like,
yeah,
as Adam says it is the way that it falls.
Right.
Which is fine. Like, It's not her movie.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are written off to just one-liners from older Adam.
Sure.
You know, like the time travel mechanism.
I'm kind of glad that we didn't get into the time travel mechanism because it meant that, like, how does the time travel mechanism work? The magnets.
Magnets.
How do those work?
But,
magnets, that's crazy, right?
Adam says that when you die outside of your sacred time, fixed timeline?
Fixed timeline.
When you die outside of your fixed time, it gets messy. And we see the people...
we never explore what that means!
No, but we see a bunch of people who are killed by Adam's lightsaber get dusted.
Which I really want to know what's happening. Like, are they just, like, returning to their prime time?
No, they're dead.
Because
they're
dead, but, like, are their atoms returning? Like, what is happening when they just sort of whiff out of existence? And why are they wearing all that armor?
I mean, when you're from a Terminator-esque future where you're the overlord of time travel...
Which, again, we don't see.
True,
I'm very curious that we never see... Like, the only shot we get of this Terminator-esque future...
is in space.
The space station.
Yes, when they're having the jet.
Yeah, we don't see how bad it is. I would have liked to see how bad it is.
The production budget was good, but not that good.
I mean, just use some old footage of Terminator Salvation. It'll be fine.
Who's gonna notice?
Give us another shot of wheels crushing skulls. Why are there so many skulls, and why are they only skulls? James Cameron loves a skull.
He does.
And wheels on the ground.
Smashing. Wheels on the ground. Take a drink. Ansel, anyway. I have a very important question. Does everyone skip leg day in the future?
Does everyone skip leg day in the future? This is something I haven't noticed. Does Ryan Reynolds have bean legs?
I've never noticed. I'm looking at his eyes.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Is he just not like cut on the top and not on the bottom? I had not noticed this before, but
feel free to at us with your Ryan Reynolds takes.
Yeah, people who know anything about working out, which we don't.
No. I do not.
Tell us about whether or not Ryan Reynolds is skipping leg day.
But yeah, I mean, Walker Scobell does such a good job as young Adam of being a sarcastic asshole.
Oh my god, such a plausible young Ryan Reynolds.
Yes,
really,
and that's really what solidifies his great performance here. I think that Walker is going places in his career, even if he's not playing Ryan Reynolds.
Could do, yeah.
You know. I think he'll be like the Stranger Things kids, you know, like he should be on that level after this.
I do hope that he doesn't get stuck being the sassy kid.
Sure.
Because there's only so much runway on that. We've seen that in the past.
Like the kid from Iron Man 3 was basically that kid, but not as smart in Jurassic World? That was the first one, right?
Yes.
I like those kids. They were fine.
I honestly don't remember anything about them.
That movie was bad.
They were there.
Yeah.
There were children in that film.
There were.
And they were fine.
And Ansel hated them.
I mean, I did. Every minute they were on screen.
Something that we do need to address is the music.
I'm glad that's where you went.
Because the needle drops are very fun.
They're fun.
I'm not going to say that
weird.
They're good because I've been spoiled by James Gunn.
Yeah.
As a culture, we've been spoiled by James Gunn's brilliance. And it's unfair to Sean Levy for us to put that on him. But, like, James Gunn's music has a purpose. Whereas Sean Levy's music is a fun song to kick ass to.
Yeah.
It's almost like James Gunn is really going for that emotional touchstone, whereas Sean Levy is going for the soundtrack from Rock Band.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like the songs in this movie are generic enough that they felt like placeholders.
Sure. Especially when a couple songs are used twice.
Yeah. Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
That they became... it was like this was the theme for this.
Right. Give Me Some Lovin' was the time travel song.
Yeah.
It was played both times Ryan Reynolds was traveling in time.
Which...
A weird choice.
Yeah.
It matched up with the cues nicely, I guess. It was fun.
It was a fun choice.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was a great choice.
Especially considering that both times he was like in a very high stress situation being fired on and stuff. Like If it was like a James Gunn Guardians jump sequence where they're like, nobody's shooting at them and they've decided, all right, it's time to push the big button and everybody goes squishy. We didn't have that. Yeah. This was not everybody who's been to space before. We didn't get that moment.
Like the big fight scene in the not arc reactor was Boston.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was fun. The cues hit well enough. But the music didn't really connect.
Yeah.
But it's not a huge hindrance, It gave me pause when I heard Give Me Some Lovin' twice.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it was fine.
Yeah.
It's just I end up talking about soundtracks now a lot more because of James Gunn.
Sure.
And Guardians of the Galaxy and Peacemaker and how much music in general means to his stories.
Well, and maybe that's something for us to recognize as we're reviewing a movie that's coming out right now in March of 2022.
Yeah.
This is a film that is in the shadow of Peacemaker and Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Both of which have outclassed it in these two important arenas of de-aging and needle drops. And frankly, James Gunn has revolutionized needle drops.
Absolutely.
You're not going to beat his capability for picking a song that is so perfectly tuned to the moment. And I mean, especially in Peacemaker, because he did write the script with the music in mind and then got the music he wanted.
Yeah, he did that with Guardians too.
Which is spectacular, but also the level of de-aging and deepfake that Disney is able to get in. Yeah. Oh, I was going to talk about diegetic music. The fact that James Gunn not only gives us those needle drops, but he also gives us needle drops that are so frequently grounded in the moment that the character is experiencing.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you need that all the time.
No, but when you put moments in like, oh, this was Dad's favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
Older Adam is listening to his dad's favorite song when young Adam walks in, and young Adam calls it out. So for the most part, the music was of that genre, but like, why didn't we get more of that?
Yeah.
Like, there's a moment where they go back and Mark Ruffalo is teaching a class and older Adam is auditing the class and he calls out the name of a musician. But we don't hear songs from that musician. We just hear the anecdote of Romans wrote this song lyric on their sundials.
Which is such a weird, like, connection for them to have that, like, I don't know. I thought that was a really odd scene because I'm absolutely the Mark Ruffalo in this situation where I'm like, no, this is a Roman thing that they wrote on sundial. Like that, when he said it, I was like, yeah, that's true. That's the thing. I got that reference. And then to have Ryan Reynolds' character try to correct him was so counterintuitive. I don't know. And then, of course, then he gets shot down by his own dad, which is great. Like,
and I'm pretty sure that moment was meant to be like, hey, I'm your kid. Because I feel like that's something that Mark Ruffalo as a dad would have passed on to his son, because his son's such a, as Jennifer Garner puts it, an odd duck.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's it.
That would have been like if
that had been Dad's favorite song.
Yeah, that would have been.
All right, I need you to go back and edit this movie, because if that had been Dad's favorite song, then this whole like thing is now not just him saying like, I'm still a shit even though I'm 42, but I also know your favorite song, and your favorite song has this connection to this Roman thing you're trying to work into your class, and
right.
Because then he immediately recognizes him. As soon as the lights come up and he looks him in the face, he goes, Adam! That would have been a great moment if it had been because Adam remembered his favorite song, which was this thing connected to this other thing.
It's one of those things where you shouldn't put a gun on the wall if you don't plan on using it by the third act.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not a knock against...
I mean, are we sure? Are we sure we're right about that? Like, what was the band? Do you remember the band?
I don't. Gary something.
I know we can't Google it because the movie's not out yet.
What was the Roman saying?
It's later than you think.
Guy Lombardo and his Royal Casinos. Or no, sorry. Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians.
Yes.
The song is "Enjoy Yourself."
That was the band from that bit. But what was the favorite band that they referenced back in the garage?
Yeah, in the garage. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. Like a dummy.
I also didn't write it down. We'll never know. Anyway, that band. If that band had been Guy Lombardo's and his Royal Canadians, then there would have been a connection. There would have been something there.
Sure.
Not that this is not a hole in the movie. This is not a flaw in the movie.
We're just being really nitpicky.
But that could have been tighter. That could have been tighter.
A little bit, you know,
We've been spoiled. Yeah. And so going back to the point that I was making earlier, like, because this is coming out in March 2020, we've just seen Book of Boba Fett, and we've just seen Peacemaker in the last month.
Yeah.
Like, their Adam Project now has this new competition that didn't exist when they started production on this piece.
Yep.
And unfortunately, like, it's just gonna suffer by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my message to the audience is to, like, let that go. It's still a fine film.
It's still very enjoyable.
I enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Yeah.
But it is worth acknowledging that it is behind the market in those two key elements.
So the time travel mechanism of the Adam Project reminded me of another movie that we did on this very podcast.
It did for a second there, and then and it pulled out at the last second. Thank goodness.
It's true. Oh my god. Beyond the Time Barrier?
Beyond the Time Barrier, yeah.
If Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds one day got drunk and decided to put that on Amazon also, and was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if?" But I mean, like, sure, that's not where it went. The time travel mechanism was a discharge from a jet.
It was a pulse weapon, a pulse discharge. Yeah,
because I didn't want to call it cannon. The jet
shot a thingy.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to call it cannon or a wave.
There was a zoop.
A portal happened because of the jet, and the jet flew into it.
Yes, and it had to charge up over time, which felt very much like building up to 88 miles per hour. No, we gotta go faster. We gotta go faster. All right, here we go. And
there it is.
Zoop. Yep. Just in time.
Yeah.
Leave the other spaceship to fly through where you just were. We saw you. We saw that.
Yeah, it's not really explained, but it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, it shot a thing. It made a portal. It flew through
the
portal.
And I feel like that's a good way to describe the movie as a whole. A lot of things weren't explained to the level that we wanted, but I don't think they all necessarily needed it to enjoy the movie.
Magnets. How do those work?
What's the deal with magnets?
Thank you, Mr. Seinfeld. What's the deal?
They're not nets.
But yeah, we explained everything with magnets.
Yeah, so overall, the question that we always ask on this podcast is the Adam Project worth your time? And for me, it's a resounding yes. I mean, this should stand, probably could stand, with those classics that I mentioned earlier, like E.T. and The Goonies, as like the next step for those time travel and space obsessed kids that just saw Back to the Future for the first time. Like Those kids that saw E.T. for the first time.
I would take you one step farther. This feels like the Back to the Future for the Avengers Endgame audience.
Ooh.
For the kids who have just been exposed to, well, time travel doesn't matter because it's all multiverse, and as long as you come back to your own original timeline. But do you know if it's your original timeline? I don't know. This had a grounding element where your fixed time was set, and when you return to your timeline, and this is something that I have when I write time travel stories. I like the idea of a self-correcting timeline. The idea that deviations within a certain level, similar to the way that Loki kind of sets it out, where like a deviation within a certain amount of change sort of smooths itself out over the long run, right? Because time cycles, right? Yeah. And so if you're cycling the time over and over and over again, every once in a while a deviation here and there doesn't make a big difference, and you're not going to remember it, or you're going to justify it away in the way that they lay out here, that young Adam is going to forget that this adventure happened.
So in a way, young Adam is Loki in Avengers Endgame. Old Adam is Loki in the series Loki, going back in the sacred timeline.
I buy that.
Okay.
He's fully aware that the time travel is happening and that what he's doing is hypothetically going to cause problems, but he's to a point where his stakes are higher than a changed timeline.
Yes.
He believes that the timeline is already irreparable, so all he can do is make the timeline from his point forward better.
Right. Even if that
means
Mark
Ruffalo does not jive with. But
no, but he comes around eventually.
That's true. And I liked that. I liked that we got all the way to the third act of the movie before we got a character who was like, wait, whoa, the rules of time travel are...
you can't tell me anymore. But on the night that I go back,
we bowled through all of the time travel rule explanations, because like in other movies like Back to the Future, like that's our start. Is Doc going, here are the rules of time travel, we gotta do these things and these things, you can't do this thing and this thing.
Great Scott,
do you understand what would happen? You can't go giving yourself the almanac from the future.
1.21 gigawatts.
Whereas this movie starts off with Adam showing up from the future and going, yeah, all the rules, screw it. Sure. And then in the third act, we get Mark Ruffalo's character coming in and being like, what happens if you screw this up? And older Adam going, yeah, it's too late for that.
Yep. Punch in the face.
Yeah. And then they trade punches to the face.
Mark Ruffalo straight up cocks back and fulls on Superman punches Ryan Reynolds in the face.
Up under the chin.
Where he has to
jack
jump.
Him under the... Yeah. Oh my God. It was such a good punch. Like, Ryan Reynolds cold cocks Mark Ruffalo just straight to the jaw. Or not even the jaw, like the right under the nose, upper teeth section.
Right in the mouth mullet.
Yeah. Right in the mouth mullet. And then Ruffalo gets him in the like jump undercut
Hulk
situation.
Smash.
Hulk smash. And I will say I'm a little sad that Mark Ruffalo does a great job playing the injury, and Ryan Reynolds does not. Ryan
Reynolds is not going to sell that injury.
Ryan is fine. Yep.
Because he's jacked as shit. And he has a beard.
That's true. Maybe that's the difference. Mark Ruffalo is supposed to be a professor, and Ryan Reynolds is a time travel badass.
Right.
I can take that.
That's just a Tuesday.
Ugh. Punch me again. See if I notice that one.
Right in the bathing suit private area. Or bathing suit private parts?
Bathing suit private parts.
That's what it was. So clearly, if you couldn't tell by our reactions to this movie, even through the nitpicky music bits, the Adam Project is very much worth your time.
Super worth your time.
You should absolutely check it out on Netflix. By the time this episode drops, it will be up on Netflix right now for you to watch. Fucking do it.
How did you feel about the Adam Project? Tell us online. Go ahead and reach out to us. You can find us on the internet.
I am at bsilverio20 on Instagram and Twitter.
I am at Indecisionist on Twitter and at The Indecisionist on Instagram. If you would like to get in on the conversation on any of those platforms, you can use the hashtag #TimeToParty. That's time, the number 2, party.
Thank you for joining us on these very special episodes of Time to Party. Maybe this was like a mini party,
Yeah, this might have been your first time joining us.
I mean, it's an open invite.
Yeah.
So everyone's welcome at any time.
The party don't stop.
No. Here at Time to Party, time is made up and the points don't matter. So you can jump in at any point. You can even jump to the edutainment for an episode if you want.
Yeah.
You're Aaron's people. Maybe we can do more of these little mini-sodes for the streaming content that goes directly to your screens at home. House party. It works.
Yeah, house party. Special thanks to April Moralba for our podcast art and to Marlon Longid of Marlon and the Shakes for our amazing theme song. This has been an Indecisionist production.
Until the next party people, be excellent to each other.
Party on, dudes. Theremining over there?
Do you think Ryan Reynolds has a theremin?
I mean, if he wanted to, he could.